I thought yoga was physical exercise for flexible people. Yoga is actually for your mind and Ayurveda for your body. Was it balance, yoga, or was it Crown Chakra that resonated with you? When you think about it, they are connected, aren't they? How would you relate these words? How do you think they are connected? For me, it's Ayurveda. Is this the first time you've heard the word Ayurveda? Probably not. If you'd like an in-depth knowledge on the subject, I'm not the right person. There are many experts out there who will give you that knowledge, but don't go away because I want to share something different, something you may not have heard before. See, I want to share tips on how to make your life easier based on the Ayurvedic principles that I have been using in combination with my Reiki practice. And also the words balance, yoga, and Crown Chakra will make sense to you by the end of this video, so stick around. I'm not an Ayurveda expert, but I do have some formal training, and because I'm an Indian, the Ayurvedic principles have seeped into my everyday life ever since I remember. I didn't know at the time it was coming from Ayurveda. But after my formal training, everything made sense. And I must tell you that Ayurveda is such a vast ocean of knowledge that what I'm about to share is a tiny, tiny drop in that vast knowledge of ocean. So let's get into understanding Ayurveda Nasreen style. I'm going to start with the reasons why I chose Ayurveda and why I'm sticking with it. It's not simple like Reiki, but I have 3 great reasons. First is balance. If you asked me to describe Ayurveda in one word, I'd say balance. Next is that Ayurveda is about looking at the whole person. It's holistic. Third reason I like is because it honors the individual's uniqueness. I'll talk about this shortly, but first, let's look at the word Ayurveda. It's a Sanskrit word to mean science of life. And its scope is to support a healthy individual. This is done by prevention. Then it's to heal an individual with imbalance. This is done through life enhancement. I'd like you to note that the word cure is not used, and instead of disease, the word imbalance is used. This will make more sense as we move along. I think this is a good time to point out another aspect of Ayurveda that I find valuable in life. The only thing that is constant is change. You've heard me say this before. In fact, it's like a mantra for me because I hate change. I like the comfort of the routine and knowing what to expect. So this serves as a motivation for me when I'm resistant to doing something new. Now let's get into understanding about balance. Ayurveda considers your optimal state as being in balance. When you're well, feeling good physically, emotionally, and spiritually, you are in a state of ideal balance. And there is no need to change anything. But when that scale tips on either side, that's when you feel something is not right. It could be a slight tip, a small imbalance, or it could be a huge dip and a big imbalance. When it's a small difference, it's going to be easier for you to fix that difference versus when it's a huge imbalance. I like to think that the smaller imbalances are caused by natural changes. A good example is a seasonal change. For example, you wear a t-shirt in the summer and feel perfectly comfortable. But come winter, you've got to put on a sweater. Otherwise, you feel cold. When you feel cold, you are not in an ideal state of balance. There is something off. But the imbalance is expected, something that you can prevent by putting on a sweater. And this is the first part of Ayurveda that I mentioned earlier, the prevention. You know the winter is coming. There is change in temperature, so you keep your sweater ready and put it on, thereby preventing yourself from feeling cold. But it doesn't always work that way, does it? We are humans after all. We could be distracted and didn't prepare for the coming winter, didn't have the sweater ready. You feel cold before you realize you are coughing. This I would categorize as the large imbalance, and it could be caused by various different factors. And this is where Ayurveda supports the individual to heal, the life enhancement. Because Ayurveda talks about everything in terms of balance and imbalance, there is nothing to cure. It's about bringing the balance back. Does it make sense? Now, how does Ayurveda describe a human being? Ayurveda considers a person as having a physical body, a mind, and a soul. When this triad is in harmony, there is health. To achieve complete health, physical health alone is not enough. A balance at all three levels is always needed. Remember, this is just the basics, so I'm not going to get into further details about this, but I will give you a loose translation of the definition of a healthy person as described in Ayurveda. A healthy person has balanced energy and digestive fire, has stable physical structure, eliminates wastes regularly, has clear thinking, has stable mind, has sharp senses. A healthy person is a peaceful individual. Don't you think this describes almost everything that a person needs to be? Okay, so next I want to touch on the connection between yoga and Ayurveda. They are both from the Vedic system of knowledge that can be traced back to over 5,000 years. 5,000 years. Some of the other disciplines you may know from the same philosophy are Vastu Shastra. You may recognize it better if I said Feng Shui, which is the Chinese counterpart. Another one is astrology, which is somewhat different from the Western style that you may be familiar with. I'm going to say Vedic astrology is more in depth and takes into account a lot more. Finally, I want to point out that Ayurveda developed into 8 branches over the years, comparable to that of Western medicine we know today. The 8 branches of Ayurveda are internal medicine, surgery, ear, nose, throat, and eye disease, pediatrics, toxicology, psychiatry, the science of rejuvenation, and the science of aphrodisiacs. So this is a time-tested science, knowledge for well-being that existed well before we began to use modern medicine. While there are definite advantages of using modern medicine, like when you need surgery or when you have acute pain, but otherwise, I'm going to say, why not trust the 5,000 years old knowledge? It has prevention methods and helps you heal from imbalances. Now, to really understand Ayurveda, it would be useful to understand Sankhya philosophy, which provides a structured explanation of how the human being came into existence. This is also the underlying philosophy of the classical system of yoga and a model for Ayurvedic diagnosis and healing. But it is too beautiful and rather complex to be described in just a few sentences. So I'll skip and get to the end, which is actually where our understanding of Ayurveda can begin. Sankhya philosophy leads us to the conclusion that all natural things are comprised of these 5 elements. Each element contains the one before. It begins with Akash, space or nothingness, which gives birth to Vayu, the air. Then comes Tejas, which is fire, which brings us to Ap, the water. And finally, Prithvi, the earth. Earth is the most dense of these 5 elements and has all the elements within it. Because all natural things are comprised of these 5 elements, different combinations of these 5 elements, herbs can be digested by the body while synthetic medicines cannot. Ayurveda says you are what you digest, not what you eat. You must be able to digest what you eat. I've talked about how yoga is connected to Ayurveda and why balance is important when we talk about Ayurveda. All that remains is the Crown Chakra. There are 7 basic chakras in our body. Chakras are clusters of energies within our body, and this is another vast subject that I'd like to talk about in another video. But the reason I brought it up is because Crown Chakra symbolizes spiritual enlightenment. And if you recall, I said a good health in Ayurveda means a harmony between body, mind, and soul. So there you go. We've connected the 3 words to Ayurveda. And the 2 nuggets I want to leave with you are, first, the only thing that is constant is change. And second, you are what you digest. Remember, this is only the very beginning of Ayurveda. I will come back and talk more on this topic. But for today, I hope you enjoyed the information and it makes sense. I've also recorded a meditation for grounding and balancing to go with this talk. So if you like, have a look, and it's about 5 minutes each that you can do one after the other, or just do the first grounding part, whatever you need at the time. And always make sure you are comfortable. There is no distraction when you're doing the meditation. Connect with Reiki if you know how for maximum benefit. I love your feedback. I love to hear from you. So don't forget to comment. Thank you for watching. I thought yoga was physical exercise for flexible people, and I wasn't flexible, so I never bothered to do yoga, even though I'm Indian and it should have been part of my daily life. The postures weren't part of my daily life, but the philosophy was. I also learned that yoga is actually for your mind and Ayurveda for your body.